This is Sherm Radio in partnership with Timber Media, Podcasters for India Inc.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sherm Radio, the place to catch up with leaders and have insightful conversations on all things work. And I'm Archana Jarrath. In today's episode, we will focus on a very interesting and a need of the hour topic, which is on workforce management to help organizations strategically improve productivity, optimize costs, and be compliant with the law. Recently, Sherm in India, along with the Ultimate Kronos Group, did an in-depth study on the Workforce Management Reset of 2020, which covered 240 CHROs and HR leaders. The report threw up some great insights, and I'm joined today by Vanaja K, Director Marketing, Ultimate Kronos Group, to talk through some of the key findings and also the implications of the report on HR teams and organizations. Vanaja, it's a pleasure to have you on this show today.
Thank you very much for having me here, Archana. It's a pleasure to be here as well.
The pleasure is all ours, Vanaja, and I know, this has been a year like no other, and we're all, been talking about it for the last 10 months, and it has had a big implication on workforce management. So how has workforce management evolved, not just in the last 10 months, but over the years, and specifically with the focus on, these last few months?
Sure, Archana, this is a good question, actually. So if you look at it, no organization can actually survive without a workforce, right? The workforce is key to almost everything that you do. Nobody is 100% robotized or 100% automated. In the past, the workforce, I would say was much more simpler if you look at olden days. And over a period of time, the workforce has got more complex and more varied. The changes were largely in terms of, what people do and in terms of, the terms and conditions of the employment. Like, workforce was typically categorized as blue-collared, white-collared, permanent workers, temporary workers, right? And all policy, process, and, even engagement models were largely based on these lines. Of course, things started getting a little bit more automated, shorter. Like if you look at temporary workers, then we had new types of temporary worker contracts coming up, right? Including recent gig. But largely the workforce has not changed very dramatically. These have all been slow, steady changes. And I think, but there has been a general understanding across the industry that yes, work is changing, the nature of work is changing, and hence, things will change over a period of time. But I think what has really happened is that all of this has got accelerated because of COVID. Because if you look at COVID, what really got affected was not really it was not because supply chains got affected. It was not because production got affected. All of these things got affected because your workforce got affected, right? So the workforce was right in the middle of the entire COVID crisis. And because the workforce got affected, the nature of work changed and the workplace itself took a very different, meaning. So the workforce evolution that we are seeing today is largely one that people have been predicting, but they have not expected it to really hit the dimension that it has right now. And I think what is happening is that irrespective of what people do and irrespective of the terms and conditions of the employment, what is becoming a defining factor right now is where you work. And we are seeing basically three different categories of workers emerging. One is people who work from home, the remote worker, people who need to be in the front lines, whether it is going to the manufacturing setup or being in front of their customers at retail stores or, healthcare workers in the hospitals, right? These are the people who need to be there right where the action is. They cannot work from home. That's a different category. And then there are these, what we call the composite workers, where they can work in different places. They have the flexibility of doing some activities remotely, but they still need to get to work, right? And these are the three different categories that we have seen emerge in the last few months. And what we tried to do as part of the study along with SHRM was to basically understand what does it mean for these groups of people, right? So how is productivity getting redefined for them? How are costs changing? What is the, where does policy making start moving towards? What kind of processes and technology can enable it? I think, this is the biggest evolution of the workforce right now. And to be able to understand it is basically what and provide solutions is really where workforce management needs to evolve to.
No, very rightly said, Vanaja. It is one of the biggest evolutions of work, whether forced through COVID or accelerated through COVID. You touched upon, the three categories of workers. There's also, of course, the remote workforce itself. The size has grown substantially, and we see that, at least what experts say is it's going to be there for a time to come at least. And, a lot more new work models coming up. So how do you see organizations planning for optimal workforce, particularly in terms of, scheduling, planning, as well as technology is definitely going to be playing a huge role in this. So how do you see technology tools that are helping here as well?
Yeah. So, before we talk about the tools and the technology, right? The one thing we need to look at is really how have different organizations been able to accept these changes. If you look at it typically from an industry standpoint, services industries, when I say services, I mean IT, ITES. These are organizations, industries where they were more or less comfortable with the concept of remote working. While it may not have been 100% remote working, they've had some basic structures in place, and you saw that smooth transition because the nature of the work also permitted. If you look at more traditional industries like manufacturing, or even if you look at retail and logistics, these are industries where work needs to be done at that particular work site. Okay. And while there are support functions also that can, do work remotely, many times because the larger workforce works at the workplace, you find remote working being pretty rare. In India especially, we have seen many manufacturing organizations, you'll find the IT teams also working in the factories, keeping the same factory hours. They might be working out of a general shift. The rules and regulations also, would be very different. What happened because of COVID is every organization had to accelerate the remote working concept. And the study, in fact, clearly shows that many manufacturing organizations were not completely prepared in terms of the switch. And they found it to be one of the challenges, right? Whether it was to do with the technology to enable the remote working workforce, or the whole policy and process itself, there was these were you found that services organizations were a little bit more prepared to be able to manage this. The other thing is that for each of these different category of workers, switching them on and being mentally prepared to accept them is one thing. COVID obviously accelerated the process. The other thing is that they have different needs, right? Only if you understand their needs properly can you actually figure out what kind of tools, technologies do you need. For example, in the case of the frontline worker, it's all about his safety and health, right? Are you able to ensure that when the person comes in, there's social distancing that is playing? If somebody is affected in the shop floor, in the workplace, are you able to trace all the other employees who might have come in contact with him and do some kind of contact tracing? So these are different set of requirements. You don't really need to have this for a remote worker, right? Because there's social distancing doesn't come in place. He's remote. Right, you don't need to really do a contact tracing because his family, the place where he lives, those other factors will kick in. Then you have a completely different category of those employees who need to come in and out of the workplace. So now for them, every time they leave their home, there's a risk, right? And but at the same time, they work from home also for some time. So are you able to minimize the risk? Are you able to stagger the shifts? And you just can't, have the employee decide, I'm going to come to office today and not tomorrow, because he needs to come in when the rest of the people who need him are also there, right? So you need to then schedule this in terms of groups. So this group is going to come in for this week, for 3 days, and then maybe they may not come in for 4 days, but then they will come in again after that, right? So you need to create those intersection points also based on the skills and the requirements of the organization. So different category of workers have very different needs. And because of that, the processes that they need to have in place and the policies that they need to have in place and the tools they need to have will change. For example, take the case of scheduling. In the case of the remote worker, it's all about scheduling, having the employee declare what are the times when they'll want to work. We saw a lot of, working mothers who are basically struggling to manage the work-life balance, right? Scheduling comes in where they can actually tell, okay, during these times and this times, I'm open to taking calls during customers, I will be able to do it. But during these times, there might clearly be a lot of chaos at home. There might be kids, out of school, or there might be exams going on. Right now, it's the exam season, right? And I may not be able to be there with my customer on call. So these are the hours I would prefer to work, and these are the hours where I would prefer to have a break, right? Staggering the work. That is one type of scheduling problem that we see for remote workers. In the case of, your shop floor workers or people who go into the office space, well, it's about all, what time do they come in? What time do they go out? Is there too much rush at the gates, right? Are they at risk in terms of too much exposure in common areas, too much exposure with other work colleagues that's not required, right? So implementing social distancing through scheduling, right? In the case of flexible staff, it's all about rotation, right? So making sure that they have days when because people who have the option of being at home want to stay at home, right? Because at the same time there's a need to go to work. So how do you balance that by rotating the schedules? So the different aspects of scheduling that come in place for the different groups of people, and that's where technology plays a lot of role, because technology can actually give you the kind of visibility that you need in order to be able to do this.
No, absolutely, and I think, Vanaja, without technology at our side, all of this, would have been a virtually impossible task to manage. And there's so many things that one has to look into, especially when it comes to larger teams and, the kind of business that organizations are in. But we're going to hold that thought. We're going to take a very, very short break. I'm in conversation with Vanaja, Director Marketing at the Ultimate Kronos Group, and we're discussing the workforce management reset of 2020.
You are listening to Sharm Radio in partnership with Timber Media, Podcasters for India Inc.
Welcome back, everyone. We're talking about the workforce management reset of 2020, and I'm with Vanaja K, Director Marketing at the Ultimate Kronos Group. So Vanaja was just sharing with us the complexities and the various aspects required for planning of optimal workforces. Now, there's also a whole section on productivity and optimization of costs in the report, Vanaja. So, how do organizations sort of manage these aspects of flexibility and the different types of workers that they have, along with productivity and cost optimization? Where do you see that going?
Sure. So I think this is a very interesting problem to solve, right? If you look at it always, productivity and optimizing costs was something that was on everybody's radar, right? So you had business constraints. So business constraints in terms of how much to produce, what is my market condition looking like, what is my demand and supply like, right? And then obviously you had to balance whatever was the organization's, dynamics with respect to improving productivity and reducing costs or optimizing costs. So these were the plays. But but there's something new that has come in, which is called flexibility. And what does the flexibility mean? Flexibility basically means that apart from the organization's constraints, there are new constraints that have come in, which is the constraints of the individual, right? So you're trying to match the organization's requirements with the individual's requirements, okay? And because that's the flexibility. Because too much flexibility on one end would mean that the employee does whatever he or she wants, and then the organization doesn't get what it needs. So flexibility needs to be basically managed not just from productivity and cost perspective, but also from all the other market conditions, dynamics, when are your customers going to be online? When do you need to be in front of your customers? How much do you need to produce? All of that needs to be looked at together. And to be able to do all of it, okay, it's a balancing act, okay? And it's not a one-time balancing act. You don't just say that, okay, I have managed flexibility with productivity and cost, and it's done. We did a project 3 months back and it's over. This is a daily thing that needs to be happening every day. And the most important component to be able to do it is visibility, right? So you need to give visibility in the hands of the people who are doing this balancing act. And that's actually the line manager. So it's not some fancy person sitting in one part of, strategy or something like that. It's a line manager who has to do it every day. So he knows what the company needs, but he also needs to know what the employee wants. And then he needs to make sure that when all of this happens, he's able to deliver the right levels of productivity and cost. One of the things that we have seen is technology can actually help this a lot by factoring in employee requirements as part of it. And one of the concepts I would like to talk about is employee availability. So employee availability is actually very interesting. Okay, so basically it says that earlier it always used to be like this. Everybody, all of you come this week in the morning shift, and then you come next week in the afternoon shift, and then you come in the night shift, and then repeat, right, and reverse.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really work because that doesn't give the employee flexibility. Now, if people are going to have the flexibility to work, then I need to understand what their plans are, right? So I need to find out, okay, so is there a time when you do not want to come? Because I need to then factor in and make sure that I have enough people who are willing to come. I need to know that which are the shifts people don't like and which are the shifts people like, and then frame policies accordingly, right? So employee availability gives the employee a chance to say what is it that he or she prefers to do. So when I understand the employee preferences, I can work on changing those preferences, and I can work on, framing policies and processes so that to kind of drive a certain type of behavior or to make contingency plans. Okay, so I think organizations which do not have real-time visibility into their workforce and do not have a provision to actually capture employee preferences and use it in a scientific manner. So it's not the same as me telling my manager, no, this week I can't come, or I can't do XYZ because I have these commitments in my personal life. Yeah. It's about getting a complete comprehensive visibility at a company level, right? For the company to come back and say that what are the shifts that my employees prefer. Working mothers in my company, what do they prefer to do? Okay, what are the kind of constraints that come up? If I can actually get that kind of visibility, then I will be able to actually, make their lives simpler, right? So flexibility can only truly be given if you actually consider the requirements of the individual and you have a way to actually get those requirements and analyze it upfront. So I think technology is going to be very important, and at the end of the day, it's like a constraint game, right? You have different constraints and you have to optimize. It's a balancing act. So the more you empower the manager and the line manager and the employee with the information to make these choices, the more the choices will become better. And I think one very critical piece that can help over here is the use of things like artificial intelligence. So at UKG, we do look at some of these technology pieces to see how can AI maybe not do the activity, but advise the manager, advise the employee in terms of, okay, probably if you do this shift, this will be the impact, but if you take this shift, this will be the impact, and then allow them to make the right decision for the organization and for themselves.
That's very, very interesting, Manoj. And I think what you said, is very important. The difference between somebody, more than just looking at people not being available on a particular day at a particular time. That's attendance. That's something we've always been doing. But looking at flexibility as, an integral part of the workforce management planning and execution, and how that can actually, build in a very, very important facet into an aspect for organizations to attract the right kind of talent. And given the kind of changes, even in the work models that we're looking at, what do you see as some of the implications, in the shorter term and the longer term for HR teams and organizations, given that, we still have a lot of uncertainty, at least in the next 12 to 18 months, if not longer, especially in the, from the lens of workforce management?
Yeah. So I think this is a very important and very relevant question. I think the key word for me over here is uncertainty, right? Because things are uncertain, you can't plan in very long time ranges, right? There used to be a time when organizations used to plan like, 1 year, this is going to be my workforce plan, and this is going to be my headcount plan. And then that started becoming, 6 months, and that started becoming like 1 month or quarterly. But just take a look at, for example, a company like a Swiggy or, any of these delivery organizations where they can only plan for the day, right? Even if you look at retail, the planning cannot be done so much in advance. There's so many things that could change your plan. The weather, for example, it could rain and things.
Very true.
Right? Or there could be a cricket match on the weekend and then people might actually order more or order less or whatever. So there is so much that is happening today. The world is so dynamic and so intense that you cannot have long-term plans, and everything needs to be done as much as possible in the moment, right? So if you have to plan in very short time frames, maybe at a day level, at a shift level, at a week level, a week is a lot actually these days, then what you need visibility, right? And you need visibility on number of parameters, and you need to understand how one thing interacts with the other, right? If I make A change, how does it impact B? How does it impact C? So I think one of the things that we have seen typically organizations, especially in systems, is that they need to now look at systems and tools which are more operational in nature, okay, and which give them visibility at a particular point and tell them actually what is happening right now. For example, when COVID hit, one of the biggest things was how quickly can you respond to that, right?
True.
Or if you find somebody who's COVID positive, you can't wait for the end of the week reporting to basically take some corrective actions. So you need to immediately find out who is there, and if all of this is not online, if all of this is not dynamic, then you will not be able to take the right kind of precaution. So that's one. I think the other piece also for organizations is therefore then to adapt more to technology. Okay, a lot has, if you look at it, many organizations have a HRMS HR system which really looks at how the people are taken, are managed more in terms of developing, nurturing. It's more long term in nature. What you need to also is look at something very operational. So where, I would say HR and operations meet. That meeting point is basically workforce management. So to understand really how does this come together. I also think that, engagement models will have to change, right? A lot now goes back to very basics. Like, the report very clearly calls out that employee health and safety and the employees' ability to feel that the organization is taking care of the health and safety, solving transportation problems, etc., are one of the top priorities. So organizations will need to understand that the engagement model will need to change in terms of taking care of basics like health and safety, which is not as simple as it used to be earlier. You could just put a health plan, and increase the insurance, levels for the employee, and it's done. Right now, health and safety means a whole host of things, right? Right from preventing mechanisms to finding beds and things like that. So,
and anticipating,
and providing that extra support for family members, right? Extended family. So there's a whole bunch. So that's one. The second thing is, of course, we talked about it, having the visibility to get that balancing act correct. And I think leveraging technology is going to be very important. Looking at more futuristic technology that can take care of, give you real-time analytics, can basically do artificial, give you information, use artificial intelligence in the right context, machine learning. All of these are basically going to be the way forward, because the fact is that nobody knows what the future is going to look like. We have a COVID vaccine coming up. We also have a new strain of virus getting developed, right? So things are changing. So the only thing that will help you manage change is the right information at your, so that you can take the best decision possible at that point of time.
Very, very valid words, Vanaja. I think one thing that COVID has taught us is that, and I don't think any of us, I don't think, as in none of us were prepared for something like that. And you're very right, we don't know whether the vaccine is going to work. We don't know, the new strains that they're talking about. It may all go away. It may be there for the longer term, and we need to be prepared for both. Technology will be a very, very important and continue to play a very critical role in how we manage and sail through these, coming years. And workforce management is such a critical aspect for organizations, especially large organizations. And, the examples you gave were very, very relevant. So thank you so much for sharing, the details and insights from the report. It was a wonderful conversation.
Thank you so much, Archana, for having me here with you again today, and to all the viewers who are listening. And thank you so much to the SHRM team for participating and working with us together to come up with this insightful research. And I look forward to more such interactions with you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vanaja, for sharing those wonderful insights on the Workforce Management Reset 2020 report jointly conducted by SHRM in India and the Ultimate Kronos Group. I'm sure our audience listening in today learned a lot about workforce management and will help them in planning and strategize in the coming months. Thank you everyone for listening in to SHRM Radio in partnership with Timber Media Podcasters for India Inc.
This is SHRM Radio in partnership with Timber Media, Podcasters for India Inc.